The stage was already in ruins after episode 5. Donald Trump's so-called second document, the one he promised would bury Jasmine Crockett once and for all, had crumbled under its own weight. His hands, once shaking with defiance, now trembled with rage as the audience erupted in laughter and disbelief. Ivanka, standing close to him, tried to keep her composure, but her eyes darted nervously across the room. Jasmine Crockett didn't even need to speak. Her smirk alone told the crowd she had won that round. But just when it seemed like Trump's blunder would close the night, the lights dimmed. The audience quieted. A crackle of static echoed from the speakers above. And then it began. An audio file, raw, uncut, unapproved, blasted through the debate hall. It wasn't part of the schedule. It wasn't part of the show. It was a leak. The voices were unmistakable. Donald Trump's deep, hurried tones. Ivanka Trump's sharp, measured words. A private exchange, never meant for the public ear. The hall froze. The moderators didn't move. The cameras zoomed in. And Jasmine Crockett? She leaned forward against her podium, eyes wide, lips pressed into a smile so sharp it could cut through steel. She knew this was her moment. The tape rolled on. Trump, in the recording, spoke of burying opponents, of shaping narratives, of keeping certain things under wraps, even if we have to bend the truth. And Ivanka wasn't just listening. She was agreeing. Her voice, calm and chilling, suggested strategies, whispers about distracting the media, even mentions of names the public had never heard her say before. The audience gasped in waves. Each new line sent shock rippling through the hall. On stage, Ivanka's face drained of color. Donald's jaw tightened as his eyes darted around, desperate to find someone, anyone, to blame. Jasmine slowly lifted her hand, pointing not at the recording, not at the sound booth, but directly at Ivanka. The crowd roared, and the voiceover grows fiercer. The scandal was no longer about Crockett versus Trump. It was no longer about documents, debates, or speeches. It was about betrayal. Someone had planted this audio. Someone close to the Trump circle. Someone with enough access, enough anger, and enough power to break them wide open. For Ivanka, the humiliation cut deeper than any accusation Jasmine could throw. This wasn't Jasmine's doing, not entirely. This was an inside job. Someone she trusted had turned on her. And now, the world was listening. Jasmine Crockett seized the stage. Her voice sliced through the chaos like thunder. America, this is what they sound like when the cameras are off. This is what they admit when they think no one is listening. The audience erupted, some in applause, others in outrage. The moderators begged for order, but the hall was no longer theirs to control. This wasn't a debate anymore. This was an execution. Donald Trump slammed his fist on the podium, shouting about fake news, about illegal leaks, about disloyal snakes. But the louder he yelled, the smaller he seemed. The audio kept rolling, sentence after sentence, confession after confession, until even his supporters in the room had gone silent. And Ivanka didn't yell. She didn't scream. She stood still, frozen in place, her carefully polished exterior collapsing piece by piece. Her eyes flickered toward her father, but he didn't look back. He was too busy drowning in his own fury. By the 20-minute mark of the broadcast, it was clear this wasn't just another episode. This was a collapse, a dynasty undone by its own whispers. But here's the twist. As the leak came to an end, a final line echoed, soft, almost buried in static, but clear enough to shatter the hall. She'll take the fall for this. She always does. The voice? Donald Trump's. The target? His own daughter. The reaction was nuclear. Gasps. Shouts. The audience split in two. Ivanka's mask broke. Her jaw clenched. Her hands trembled. And for the first time in her public life, she looked genuinely betrayed. Not by Jasmine, not by the press, but by her own father. Jasmine Crockett didn't miss the opening. She slammed her palm on her podium, leaned into the mic, and delivered the blow of the night. And there you have it, America. Not loyalty, not leadership, just lies, betrayal, and the willingness to sacrifice even your own blood to cling to power. The hall exploded. For the remaining 20 minutes, chaos reigned. Trump tried to shout down the crowd. Ivanka tried to regain her footing, and Jasmine used every second to drive the knife deeper, painting the Trumps as a family not of strength, but of secrets, shadows, and backstabbing. By the time the lights dimmed and the cameras cut, the damage was irreversible. This was no longer a political battle. This was war inside the Trump dynasty. A father, a daughter, a crumbling empire, all exposed in one night by a single recording. And America? America wasn't just watching. America was choosing sides.